Chapter 5 ends in just a little under 1 month, and I think it's safe to say that this has probably been close to the worst chapter in Fortnite ever. On a good day, I would argue Chapter 3. On a really bad day with the game, I would say Chapter 5. But I thought it would be really fun to look back at some of the old seasons, especially since we're going into another OG season of Chapter 2 here in less than a month in November, and just rank them and look back and see what we missed and what we're hopeful for maybe Chapter 6. Let's get into it. Alright, so here we are. We're going to rank every Fortnite season ever. If you want the link to this ranking, I will link it in the description below. I have a section here that is unranked because I actually didn't start until about Season 7. I don't remember the exact season I started, in all honesty, but I do remember my first Battle Pass was Season 9. I remember playing Season 8 though, but I know I played a little bit of Season 7, so I think just to start things off, I don't want to rank a season that I didn't play just because I just feel like that's unfair. I have watched Typical Gamer religiously. So I have seen the majority of the seasons, and I think I would have really liked it, but I was in college at the time. I didn't have good internet while I was there, so there was like no point in me playing. It dropped all the time. So we'll just go ahead and just throw seasons 1 through, that's chapter 2, seasons 1 through like 7, because I don't really remember much of 7. Here in unranked. Let's look back on Season 8 and see what kind of weapons were in the game, see what the Fortnite Wiki says. Alright, so here we are, we're at the Fortnite Wiki, and it was a theme revolving around pirates and adventure. A new tropical and volcanic biome was added to the northeast section of the map, Sunny Steps and Lazy Lagoon. I remember Sunny Steps. This is what the Season 8 map actually looked like. I believe this might have been a new location. I remember landing here at Sunny Steps all the time. All the time. I believe this was Sunny Steps. It's been so long. And they didn't bring it back for Season OG last November. And I was so sad when I found that info out because I loved that POI with my whole heart. But, yeah. It's just, I miss this map so much. I really enjoyed Season 8. I don't remember a whole lot of it. I just remember that POI being so, like, one of my favorites. Obviously I didn't buy the Battle Pass. I'm so dumb for that. I still wasn't home fully when this came out, so that's probably the reason why I didn't buy the Battle Pass. But because it was the season that I played more of and I remember more of, I'm just gonna put it middle of the road, like B, because looking at the Battle Pass, it looks great. Peely is a skin that I'm very angry about missing out on, but like it just didn't make sense for me to buy it because I wasn't home, I wasn't gonna finish it, my internet wasn't good while I was in school, so yeah. Alright, so Season 9 was revolved around the future, with the description, the future is yours. Neo tilted in the Mega Mall and pressure plant, where all locations added. Slipstreams were also added across the map, as well as large mechanical drones. A new type of cosmetic were added. I do remember the Mega Mall and all that fun stuff. I remember the slipstreams. It was so fun, Neo tilted. I remember everyone kind of low-key hating on Neo tilted, though. Being a relatively new player, I just didn't realize like how much old tilted meant to everybody, so I kind of understand, but I really enjoyed this season. Like I said, it was my first Battle Pass season, and obviously it kept me going. So with that being said, I think I'm gonna put Season 9 in the 8th here, just because it was my first Battle Pass. Like I said, one of my favorite skins of all time is in this Battle Pass, and everyone's gonna be like, why is it your favorite Battle Pass skin, Spark? Like, that's such a stupid skin. It's Vega. I just thought, like, I really liked the yellow variant because yellow is my favorite color, and I thought she looked a little bit like me. Maybe not, but, like, that was, what, 7 years ago? So, I really enjoyed her. It was back before there were all these collabs, okay? Like, I never thought that we'd see, like, Peter Griffin or, like, Avatar or, like, whatever it is, okay? Like, I really very much enjoy old Fortnite making their own skins and not all of these collabs, but we'll get into that. Let's move on to Season X? Yeah. So Season X, this was the final season of Chapter 1. I do remember, I was actually home for this one. I had just gotten married and moved into my current house, and I remember hating this. I remember trying to play, and I was like, the mechs are cool for a hot minute, but I was like, no, everyone's in a mech, and then it was like boring if you weren't the one driving it. I just wasn't very appreciative of the season. It wasn't a big fan for mine. I think there are worse seasons though. Ooh, I know. I think there are worse seasons for sure. So, listen, judge me all you want, but I'm gonna put it in C, because there were worse seasons. Alright, we're moving on to chapter 2, literally peak Fortnite. Please let me know in the comments if you are so excited for chapter 2 OG. I need this in my life. I'm so excited. It's all I think about. It's all I talk about. So let's just get started, okay? So if you remember, if you don't remember, but if you do, let me know in the comments too how big of an OG you are. I didn't play a lot of Season X. I played some here and there, but not a whole lot. Because, like I said, I was just recently married, blah, blah, blah. Had a lot going on in life. Plus, the season wasn't that great. But I do remember everybody sitting around the black hole for days on end. People knew what was kind of going to happen because of leaks. But, like I said, religiously watched Typical Gamer. I love him and Samara with my whole heart. Man, oh man. Let me tell you, the suspense. Getting a new map, so fun landing at these different POIs. I can tell you chapter 2's map backward and forward. It's my favorite chapter of all time in Fortnite. I like chapter 2 seasons 1 through 4 were like top line, peak Fortnite, and a whole new like idea of this chapter, because chapters weren't a thing, right? Up until the black hole and they introduced chapter 2. No one knew that like this is where Fortnite was going. And they've been introducing these new weapons and these new items throughout all these different seasons, and then there was nothing new in over 100 days. So I understand why people were upset. I loved everything about Season 1. I loved the new map. I loved where they went with it. So in case you missed it, here is kind of like my best at showing you a picture of the map. There wasn't anything here at the center island. This would later become the agency and the spire, and we'll talk about that. But, I mean, there wasn't really, it was just a new map with the same weapons, and I think that's what let a lot of people down. So with that being said, I think I'm going to put Chapter 2 Season 1 just because I don't miss Season 1 as much as I miss, like, some other seasons of Chapter 2. I'm going to put it in B. Just because I don't feel like it deserves to be in C, but I don't think that I'm ready to put it in A. I think it was a good season, a good introduction to Chapter 2. But I do think, looking back now, I do agree with people about there not being any new weapons introduced, especially with a new chapter. Maybe I'll change my mind as I go down. We'll see. We'll float her there right now, okay? Moving on to Season 2. If you don't remember Season 2, this was one of the best seasons of Fortnite. This is a lot of people's favorite seasons. Seasons 1, like 2, 3, and 4 are probably the community's favorite seasons of Fortnite of all time. If you ask anybody, I guarantee you they're going to say one of those 3 seasons. Chapter 2 Season 2 was the Spies and Secret Agents season with heisting, Midas's drum gun. The agency was added. There was all kinds of new stuff. Season 2 is when mythic items were introduced into the game, where people landed and fought for these mythic and legendary weapons. Like, people, like, it made landing at POIs worth it. It made landing at maybe more contested POIs more fun. Like, Catty Corner had the mythic charge shotgun. You had Midas's mythic drum gun at the agency. Everything about this season was fantastic, and you got introduced to like the war between Ghost and Shadow, and then henchmen were introduced, and then if you guys know about the Avengers chest, those were in the game. It was so much fun. Everybody loved it. Fighting at the agency was a hot mess, but it was so fun dropping there and seeing if you can make it out alive. I really enjoyed Chapter 2 Season 2, and I think I'm gonna put it in A, just because, like I said, this was peak Fortnite for me. I loved everything about this season. I thought it was fantastic. Moving on to Season 3, this and Season 4 are going to be the top 2 best seasons of all time for a lot of people. Season 3, the entire map got flooded with water. Everything was underwater, and it slowly receded as the season went on. Mythic items were still available. There was a small live event at Craggy. Cards radio stations were introduced. I really enjoyed this season, and for those of you guys that don't know what I'm talking about by map changes, this is how Season 3 started. and this is how it ended. It was completely underwater and the water receded. We got some new cool POIs, some new mythics. Like, for example, we have the Fortilla and Rickety Rig. The agency got changed to the Authority, and this was a great season, a 10 out of 10 season. And for that, I'm putting it there. I'm literally putting it there. I'm putting it in S tier because it deserves to be there. I think about Chapter 2 all the time. I think this was a great season. I loved landing at the Fortilla and Rickety Rig. I loved it. It was a good time. So we're going to put it there. Moving on to my favorite season of Fortnite ever. I'm so excited. I wish it was coming back in Season OG, and I understand why it's not, but it's just... I would give anything to land at Stark Industries again. If you weren't around back then, Season 4 was the first Marvel season. It was Marvel OG. If you hear people talk about it, because now we have Marvel in Chapter 5. We got new superpowers. Stark Industries was known as Upstate New York. It was a huge floating island, pretty much. There was a big cliffside, and let me tell you, at the end games, if you weren't in zone, and zone was half on top of that and half at the bottom, if you weren't up there, you were screwed and you were dead. You were losing that game. But it was so fun. Fortnite Mares took place this season too, and it was the best Fortnite Mares update that we've ever had in Fortnite. This season is just a W overall. The superpowers, the new POIs, there were great Marvel LTMs. It's just my favorite season of all time. The Battle Pass it's just so good. So good. Season 4, it's going in S tier. I mean, like, come on. Come on. Let's talk about it. It's so good. It's so good. I don't think we need to talk about it anymore, to be honest, but, like, let's continue talking about it because I could go on for days. Moving on to Chapter 2, Season 5. This was the 0 Point chapter. They introduced exotic items in this chapter, or in this season. We got IO guards in the 0 Point. Bounties became a thing. Characters started to appear around the island where you get the hireables that people talk about. I don't remember much about this season. When I always confuse this season with Primal Season, which should tell you that I probably forget this season existed. And this is what the map looked like if you don't know what I'm talking about, or if you've never played Chapter 2 Season 5. I don't remember much about this season. I remember trying to like it, but I was like, I don't know. I think this is a lost season for me, and I don't think the Battle Pass makes up for it. This is what the Battle Pass skins look like. I haven't talked about the Battle Passes at all in any of the seasons except for like Chapter 1 seasons, just because I think so far along the line, the seasons themselves in their entirety without... the Battle Pass isn't carrying the seasons. The seasons are just good as is. But just trying to find that redeeming quality of Season 5, it's just not there for me. I don't care for this Battle Pass. Man Cake is the only thing that came out of it that was really funny to me, that I still use to this day. The Mandalorian, I don't care for. The other skins are lackluster compared to other previous Battle Passes. And so for that reason, I think I'm gonna put, just because it gets lost and it doesn't, I can't ever remember this season, and I always want to call it Primal Season, so it just, once again, like I said, it just gets lost in the shuffle. I'm gonna put it in C, just because there are worse seasons, but, it could be better. It could be better. Chapter 2 Season 6 was a controversial season for many reasons. People hated it. People really hated bows. They hated the shotguns. They hated the map changes. They hated everything. I personally somewhat enjoyed this season. It's not my favorite season, but I think about this season from time to time, and I think about the bows, and I kind of miss them. I enjoyed the bows back then, especially the fire bow. I didn't hate it. I thought it was a good season. Bows were introduced. Tameable animals came to Fortnite. That was pretty much it. We could kill the animals for food. That could heal us. We could craft weapons, which was, I don't think people really enjoyed. I know I didn't enjoy that very much. It felt very, like we were going behind. I still to this day really enjoyed the upgrade bench. I wish upgrade benches would come back. Kind of miss them a little bit, but it is what it is. Chapter 2 Season 6 did introduce one of my favorite skins of all time, Lara Croft, and I love the chicken. I can't remember his name. Cluck, maybe. I really love him. I think he's a great skin. I use Lara Croft all the time. I use this version and her gold version. This is what the Chapter 2 Season 6 map looked like. The Spire was introduced. There was this weird, brown stuff. The map didn't really have any changes that I can remember. But just looking back at all these things, I think maybe I don't like this season as much as I thought I did. The Spire was okay. I really liked the battle pass. I thought it was a decent battle pass. But for those reasons, I think I'm gonna put it in B, just because I enjoyed the bows. I enjoyed the battle pass. I didn't hate the map changes. The Spire was okay. I just didn't go there. So I think I'll put it in B. Well, I like it there. Moving on to season 7. Season 7, guys, was the alien season. UFOs came to the game. They invaded the island. The battle pass was fantastic. You had an alien that you could collect things to unlock in the battle pass to customize an alien. One of my favorite seasons of all time. I'm being so dead serious. I would rank my favorite seasons as Chapter 2 Season 4, Chapter 2 Season 7. I love this season. It's kind of controversial because people were like, aliens and the UFOs. People really hated the UFOs. I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was a good time. And if you don't know what I'm talking about by alien, we had this guy that we could have customizations on. I use the skin all the time. Sloan was introduced. We got Superman apparently. I don't remember that, but okay. Rick and Morty, if you're a fan of them, were introduced into the game as a collab. I thought this was a great battle pass. I remember Sweaty Sands became Believer Beach, and there were some like references to aliens, and like the center of the map obviously had this cool like purple look to it. It was very cool. I enjoyed this season a lot, and I kind of low-key wish we could go back and look at it. And I think we all know where I'm gonna put this season. Let's be real, S tier. People are like, you liked that season? I did. I loved this season. I thought season 7 was a great season, and I would go back and revisit it. Season 8 was the final season of Chapter 2, and it was all about Kevin, like, the cube. I don't remember a lot of Kevin, because I think he was in, like, more of a mid-Chapter 1, like, entity type thing. My brother had to explain to me all of the lore when Kevin the cube made a return. If I remember correctly, do I feel like the map changed? Like, more cubes spawned on the island, and like they were taking over the island and changing the way that it looked and stuff with like this type of deal. I don't remember. This is another season that gets lost for me a little bit, just because I think I would have like connected more with it if I had known more about Kevin. These were the battle pass skins. I swear to you, I thought season 7 had the unicorn. I'm gonna be so for real, but maybe I was wrong. Well, the battle pass is good. I don't remember this at all. This is stumped me. Because I swear I thought the lore was we got like lost in this dream, and that's why aliens like came and invaded us, and that's why the unicorn was a thing, because we were in a dream, and that's why the ape guy was a thing. Man, I'm mixing up my seasons here. It's all like a blur. Well, I really enjoy this battle pass looking at it, because I love the unicorn. I can't remember his name, but I really loved him and his little emo, his Frosty Flakes emo. I use his pickaxe all the time. It's called the Big Spoon because it looks like Fruit Loops. And I really love this skin. I'm not good with skin names. I use her a lot. He's a great meme skin. Obviously we got the sweat skin. I wish we could remove the cape from her. I would use her more often if we could remove the cape, but we can't, sadly. I think she's cute, but the cape kind of blocks my view from a lot of what's going on, so I don't use her. The battle pass is a redeeming quality for sure. I feel like I have to think about this. I've made my decision, and honestly, I'm gonna put it in I'm gonna put it in B, just because the battle pass is like feels very redeemable. Plus, it's a Chapter 2, so it gets a small bonus for me. Alright, and here we go into what I really dislike. One of the worst chapters Fortnite has ever had. Chapter 3. Chapter 3 Season 1 was the first season on the new Artemis Island. The Looper teamed with the Seven to flip over Apollo, with the Cube Queen and the Cube Monsters presumed defeated. This was the battle pass. I played a lot of it. I really liked the battle pass. I use a couple of these skins. For whatever reason, was he a collab skin? He had to have been, because I played this season all the way through. I got all of the super styles. I got all of the skins. I don't have the rock though, and I don't know why. So that's a -1 point. I really like the Battle Pass. Looking at the map, I remember why I don't like Chapter 3. I think I didn't like the Bugle because I felt like it was really hard to get out of there, because it was kind of in a pit like Dusty Divot, but worse. I just really don't like the snow biomes either. I found them difficult. Like, I don't think they're cute. I think it's hard to see because they're usually covered with trees. I really didn't like laning at the Jonesies. It just felt like chaos. I always, when I get asked about ranks for chapters in Fortnite, I always rank Chapter 3 really, really low. I feel like Chapter 3 Season 1 wasn't as bad as I remember it. Because the Spider-Man collab, Spider-Man's my favorite superhero. I enjoyed the Battle Pass. I think a lot of my thing came later on in Chapter 3. For now, I'm going to put it in C. Just because I didn't like Chapter 3 that much. I don't think it's as good as, like, some of the B seasons. Even though the Battle Pass is, like, really redeeming, I'm just not a big fan of Chapter 3, point blank, period. Season 2, as you can see, there's really not much to Season 3, or to Chapter 3. So you're, like, really, we're not counting on anything here. Season 2 developed the war between the Seven and the Imagined Order with new vehicles like a drivable battle bus and new features such as mantling and sprinting. Yeah, that's gonna be a fat no from me. I didn't realize that this was the season that introduced the worst mechanic that Fortnite has ever introduced, mantling. In case you weren't aware, you mantle when you don't want to mantle. And when you want to mantle, you can't mantle. So then you die. And it really makes you rage. This was the Battle Pass. I only use like 2 of these skins, which really, I only use technically 1. I tried to like her, but I don't like her color variations very much. And I'm not a big fan of the anime skins, but I want to be because she's cute. I just like Fortnite's OG vibe of like their, like, cartoony. I mean, is it cartoony? I don't know. Whatever you want to call their style. I prefer their style over anime. So it's not a redeeming thing that's going to make me want to rank it higher like some of the other seasons. And if you didn't know, Chapter 3 Season 2 was the first season that they introduced Zero Build. I personally don't think that that's a redeeming quality either, because I appreciate Zero Build players. Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of friends that play Zero Build, but I think it's really hurt them in the long span because now you have this battle of build versus Zero Build players, and you have like this fan base that's constantly competing and constantly yelling at each other and fighting and arguing about Zero Build players are better, build players are better, Zero Build has more skill. What, you mean running around and praying that you don't get shot requires skill? Like, this back and forth hostile attitude. Build players came to the game because it made Fortnite different than other like shooter games. It wasn't the only thing that made Fortnite different, but it was a big thing. Like, the whole point of the game was to build your fort and try and get the victory royale. I'm putting enough. Chapter 3-2, just hear me out. Chapter 3-2 also is where kind of a lot of the story left the game. People also were in Fortnite for the lore and the story of it, and Chapter 3 is where it all just went to crap. Like, they just gave up on the story, and it got a little confusing and a little lost. Season 3 was named Vibin. The conclusion of Collusion, Dr. Sloan was lost, and the Resistance won the war with help from Paradigm. See, I don't remember much about this season either. I'm gonna be so for real. Like, I played a little bit, but not a lot of it. I think this is also a low ranking system for a lot of players, or a low ranking season for a lot of players. So I'm gonna put it in F2. I don't think the Battle Pass is anything great. The map doesn't look a whole lot different. Was this the reality tree? I guess the reality tree is a redeeming quality. If you could survive long enough to get your stuff, if you planted it in a smart place. I planted mine over here. I never survived to get it. It's not enough to make me want to put it any higher. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm just not a fan of Chapter 3. I am Chapter 3's #1 hater, I guess. So, and upon us, now we have Season 4 of Chapter 3, where it was taken over by the Herald and Chrome, transforming POIs and turning players, objects, and weapons into Chrome. The Nothing is directly introduced, and it's done through the Chrome. This was the Battle Pass. Spider-Gwen is in the Battle Pass. I'm gonna be real honest. I don't think I even bought this Battle Pass. I know. Which makes me sad because I missed out on this dude, but like, I don't think I even bought this battle pass. Like, no really new map changes that I remember. Chrome was introduced. Really hated Chrome. Didn't play a whole lot because of Chrome. Once again, counter building because people could like go through builds. Like I said, I'm Chapter 3's #1 hater. F. F. Chapter 4, Season 1, the Fracture Live event, which was very cool, by the way. 0 Point combines elements of other realities to create the Asteria Island. Gino, the Ageless, reigns over the Citadel and the Looper constructive portal, which is later destroyed by the Looper in cooperation. The map was fantastic. This is the map. Breakwater Bay, the Citadel, Frenzy Fields, Multi-Split, Slappy Shores, Brutal Bastion. This map slapped. I thought it was a great chapter, a great start to the chapter. Like I said, the Excalibur was introduced. The Shockwave Hammer was a thing. The best movement that Fortnite's ever had, and it's neither of those items have ever come back, by the way. The Battle Pass was an actual S tier. Every skin in this is, like, fantastic. Like, I'm a girly skin wearer. I don't usually wear, like, the male skins, but I really enjoy a lot of these male skins. The skin's cool. The skin's cool. I really liked, this boss because of the Excalibur. I thought this was a great season and a great start to the chapter. I'm not ready. I don't want to put it in S tier just because I don't think about this season a lot. I think about more seasons or other seasons more often, but I'm going to put it in A because I think it's a great season. I wish we could go back to Chapter 4 every day of my life. I miss augments a lot. I miss the map, like I keep saying. I think it's a good season, so I'm going to put it in A. Season 2 introduced Mega City to the map along with new vehicles and new grind rails. Chapter 2, Season 4, we have a lot of new things that were introduced. Motorbikes, I guess, which I thought they were in Chapter 2, but maybe I'm wrong. We got the Kinetic Blade, which was a good movement item. We got Havoc Pump Shotgun. I don't think it was in Season 1. I think this was a new gun in Season 2. People really like it. I'm not a big fan of it, but I feel like I can never get it to 200 somebody. Or 190. You have to have the mythic to 200 somebody, but I feel like I always hit them still for, like, nothing. I still think the OG pump is better, but it is what it is. The pulse rifle was actually broken. Like, new augments, obviously. Mega City was literally an FPS drop of, like, a POI, so I didn't really like to go there a lot. Plus, I feel like I got lost a lot when I went there. The Battle Pass had some cute skins, and for those reasons, just because I'm not, like, super excited looking back on it and remembering, like, what it was, because, you know, it was, like, what, 2 years ago? A year and a half ago? I'm gonna put it in B, just because I'm, like, it's not something that I'm, like, I'm so excited, but, yeah, I'm gonna put it in B. I think it's an okay season, and I remember enjoying it, so. Chapter 4, Season 3. Introduced the jungle biome. People hated this season. They hated it because the jungle, you couldn't see anything in the jungle. Apparently in Chapter 4 Season 3 we could ride raptors, but I don't think I ever saw anybody riding them. So Battle Pass, this is what the Battle Pass looked like. The Battle Pass was a good Battle Pass too, and we had Transformers. Very, very good Battle Pass, honestly. I don't, like, I feel indifferent because of the jungle being introduced. I really like the Battle Pass. I don't remember anything really else happening in the season that I was, like, super stoked about that was, like, brand new and exciting. I don't think DMRs are great. I'm gonna put it in B2, just because I think Chapter 4 is a great chapter. Chapter 4 Season 4 is the reason why, because Heisting Season is fantastic. Everything about Heisting Season was great. We got Kato Thorn, we had Fortnitemares, which was kind of okay, it wasn't great. Sanguine Sweets, Eclipse Estate, which is where I landed, and Relentless Retreat. Eclipse Estate had 3 options, so when you, like, heisted, you would fight the mythic boss. You had 2 or 3 options for a mythic weapon, and they changed every game. There was, like, a mythic charged shotgun, there was the mythic shockwave launcher, there was the mythic Stinger SMG, the mythic MK, like, there were all kinds of different things that you could get in the vaults, and Eclipse Estate had 3 options, but the other 2 big POIs had 2. And Eclipse Estate was my favorite. I landed there every game for the most part. I really enjoyed this season. I miss it every day of my life. I think about it every day of my life. Chapter 4, Season 4, it was a great season. It was one of the last seasons with Hitscan. This was the Battle Pass. We got this skin. I use her from time to time. Piper Pace. I love this skin and her, like, blue and brown pigtail, like, variant. We got another Star Wars collaboration. I love Thick Fish with my whole heart. I think he's fantastic. I really love this Battle Pass. Eclipse Estate, Sanguine Sweets, and Relentless Retreat. I always landed here. I thought this was a great POI. Also, something that, like, Chapter 4 that I haven't mentioned is flagpoles. Like, in Chapter 4, I don't remember these in Chapter 3, but they could have been. There were flagpoles in Chapter 4 that you could claim the POI and it would give you extra loot. I thought that was great. And there were so many things in Chapter 4 that made it so good. Can you guys tell which chapters I really liked by the way that I talk about them and how much I talk about them, and what seasons I liked by the way how much I talk about them and how long I talk about them? I miss heisting so much. And we can have some lackluster, like, maps, but the weapons were the best weapons probably since Chapter 1, Chapter 2. Nothing will ever beat the OG weapons, okay? But, like, Chapter 3 had some bad weapons. Chapter 4 has, like, 10 times better weapons. And they had the key, the lock boxes with the keys, the augments. I thought the POIs in Chapter 4 were so much better than Chapter 3. For all those reasons, I'm gonna put this in S tier, because these 4 seasons I think about all the time. I think about them all the time, and I miss them. I low-key almost want to, like... No, I'm going to leave them here, because I feel like S and A, the only thing that's making me change my mind about putting them in S is if I think about them a lot. I don't think about the seasons that are in B like I do about the seasons that are in A, and I definitely don't think about the seasons that are in A as much as I think about the seasons in the S tier. Anything that's below, like, B, I just don't think about ever, and I don't care to remember them. And here we come upon us, Season OG. This was such a flashback to anybody who's ever played Chapter 1. I know my brother personally said I would give anything to land at Junk Junction again, and he got to do that. I really enjoyed, like, going back to the old map and revisiting. I really wish they would have added Season 8, because that was the first season I remember, but they didn't. They skipped over it, which made me really sad, but that's okay. Here's the old map. Landing at Paradise Palms again was fantastic. Landing at Pleasant Park, Retail Row, Greasy Grove. I loved, Haunted Hills and Junk Junction. I loved landing there. I miss this map all the time. I think it had some great POIs. Salty Springs also. Every season in Chapter 5 there has been something that counters builds, and I talked about this earlier, and it's the reason why I play Reload this season, because I miss OG. I know, like, people want to argue about hit scan and projectile, and that projectile is more skillful, and I understand that. As somebody who talks about skill in the game a lot, is tired of, like, missing shots because people are teleporting, because a projectile weapon is never going to register on somebody that's doing that. Makes me want to go back and play OG. I miss the way the old Scar used to be. They've changed that. If you guys have played Reload, you guys know that they've changed. They've made it, like, the bloom worse, and it has become so bad. The old snipers, like, the bolt action, the heavy, the suppress, like, I low-key wish we could, like, just go back to when it was just guns and a map. Like, landing to get some mythic weapons, like in Chapter 2, some of this new stuff, like, it's just kind of overkill. The Battle Pass was really small because there was only a month to complete it. You only had to get 50 levels, but Little Split and the Renegade Link skin were fantastic. I love both of them, and I really like to use the Knight a lot because you can customize her. You can customize the skin and make it different colors and use different head shapes and whatever, and I love skins that I can customize. I buy them all the time in the item shop. Like I said, if you asked me 2 months ago, I would probably be on the bus of, like, I wish we could get rid of OG. Can we stop trying to bring it back and move on? Because, like I said, one of the reasons why I like Chapter 2, why it's one of my favorites, is the introduction of mythic weapons and landing at POIs and fighting for these, like, OP items to play with. Like, it made the game worth more to me because It made people actually want to fight and be more aggressive. It was fun to fight real people, one, and not bots, and two, it was fun to fight for something that everybody wanted and to come out victorious. Even if you didn't get the victory royale, if you made it out of that POI that was highly contested, you felt so good about yourself. But looking back now, after like this season and the last season, I'm gonna rank this a lot higher than I would, like I said. And I'm going to put it at A. I think it was a great season. I thought it was a great way to relive it. I did like this season a year ago when it happened, but I remember people talking about this whole new reload and I was highly against it, and I think that left a bad taste in my mouth, but I understand now. I understand, and I apologize to the Fortnite community. I will never, ever drive that bus of being the number one hater of trying to relive OG ever again. And we're at Chapter 5, Season 1. We have a lot to talk about here because Chapter 5, obviously, is a brand new chapter with a brand new map. We got all brand new weapons. We got the introduction of projectile shooting, the worst thing Fortnite's ever done. We got the introduction of medallions, which was kind of okay in this season. We got the introduction of modding weapons, which was brand new to Fortnite. We did have some modded weapons introduced in Chapter 4, but like you can actually customize your weapons in this season with different sights, with different like barrels, with different mags, and it was very confusing at first, and I dogged on this season, but looking back, I really enjoyed this season, and I think it was a great time. It introduced the worst sniper Fortnite's ever given to us in the game, the Reaper. So this was the map for Chapter 5, Season 1. There were 5 medallions introduced at Snooty Steps, Reckless Railways, Grand Glacier, Lavish Layer, and, was that it? Was there only 4? No, and Fencing Fields. Ruined Reels is better than Restored Reels. Just saying. The medallions this season actually introduced the ability to heal your shield. I thought they were great. I loved landing at Lavish Layer. Lavish Layer is probably my favorite POI of this chapter. I thought it was a great... I am such a sucker for POIs that squads can land at. If it's got enough loot for 4 people, then it's got enough loot for a duo, and I play a lot of duos. I think Reckless was a great POI. I really missed landing at Reckless and fighting for Valeria's Mythic SMG. I really like that weapon. I stayed far away from Fencing Fields because I was not that talented to be fighting for that medallion and that AR, even though it did drop a purple pump. Not worth it. I liked landing at the little pool house to go over to Snooty Steps. Grand Glacier was a good place to land too because you could land at the windmills and push in that way and let somebody else do the work as well. I miss Hazy. I miss Classy Courts. Rebel's Roost is a underrated POI by all means. Pleasant was my solo drop spot. I love this map. I loved everything about it. We got the introduction of the collab of Family Guy. We got Peter Griffin. I'm not a big Family Guy fan, but to each their own. I don't use his skin, but we got Nisha and Valeria and Oscar and Hope. I thought this was a good battle pass. Like I said, they introduced modded weapons. It was really hard at first to determine because Fortnite didn't really say anything about like a modded, like anything about modded weapons being introduced. They just kind of they just put them in the game and let everybody decide. So like players like me struggled a lot of trying to figure out what to put on them. And I know like when they started nerfing the Reaper sniper, because this season was the season of snipers. If you didn't carry a sniper, you were losing that game. If I couldn't find one because they started nerfing the spawn rate of them, I would take an MSSAR and put a sniper scope on it, and it worked really well because that gun, it was so accurate. The only problem I had was some of the guns took 20 years to reload, like the Striker, which is why I preferred the Hyper SMG. The projectile shooting was really lame. I still hate it to this day. I wish they'd bring back hit scan. Oh, we had the TMNT collab, which I was not a fan of. I thought the movement was good, but the problem is that I thought it regenerated too fast, and the amount of games that were delayed because people were just running with the TMNT stuff and they wouldn't fight me is unreal. I really enjoyed this season. It's my favorite season of Chapter 5. I think about this season a lot, so I'm gonna put it S tier just because I missed this season. Even though I'm not a big fan of projectile shooting, I really like the map. I really like the medallions. I liked the weapons that were introduced for the most part. There were way more positives than there were negatives. Chapter 5, Season 2 with Myths and Mortals. They introduced the Underworld, Grim Gate, Mount Olympus, and Brawler's Battleground. For those of you that don't know, this was the map. These were the new POIs. The medallions, there were 4 this season instead of 5. Oh, I guess ruined reels became restored reels, and that's when it went to trash. The Underworld gave you Siphon. Grim gave you the dashes. Mount Olympus made you be, like, faster and jump higher. And then Brawlers gave you, like, more damage on long-range weapons, which wasn't even worth carrying. The only medallion that was worth anything, in my opinion, was the Grim Gate medallion. The Underworld was nice, but I was not one of those players that depended on Siphon to win. So the Mythic Harbinger was really good, which is why sometimes I would land at the Underworld to fight it, but usually we dropped at Grim Gate. The Gatekeeper was introduced. Great shotgun, one of the best that's ever been in the game. If you don't know, this is the Battle Pass. We had Zeus, Artemis, Poseidon as the meme skin, Aphrodite, Hades, Cerberus, and Medusa. And then we had the Avatar collab with Korra. I thought the super styles were good. I enjoyed this battle pass. I really like a lot of the skins. After seeing the concept art on Aphrodite, though, my mindset kind of changed. I do really like the wings of Icarus that Aphrodite is wearing. I thought it was great movement. I just didn't think people knew how to use them. The only thing that really made me upset was Zeus's lightning bolt. I still got shot through builds when it was nerfed. The sniper was still in the game. They introduced the DMR. Despite, like, what people say, I think this was a good season. I thought the medallions were okay. I thought they could have been better. I enjoyed the wings of Icarus in the battle pass. It's my second favorite season in this chapter. I'm gonna put it at B. And here we are. We're at chapter 5, season 3, Wrecked. We got cars. And more cars. And battle buses. And fists. So, if you don't know, let me take you back to a couple months ago. Fortnite used to be a gun game. And then they introduced cars. And battle buses. And fists. And it all went to crap. You can mod cars with a grenade launcher and a turret. You could do spike bumpers and, like, bulletproof tires, off-road tires. There was a battle bus in the game that could disable your car with the beep of the horn. It had, like, 1,000,000 health. At the start of the season, the cars were actually healing themselves, which was, like, really not cool. I was like, that's gonna get nerfed. The crossbow, one of my favorite weapons, was introduced, but the problem with it was that it was broken in a bad way. Like, it was very accurate with hip firing, but also it sometimes wouldn't explode when it would attach to somebody. It was supposed to latch onto them like the Excalibur and explode, and it didn't always explode. The amount of games I lost because it didn't explode really enrages me. There was a new movement item that was also a melee weapon introduced called the Nitro Fists. And if you've never had 2 duos and a solo punching into your box as a solo teaming, you're lucky, because it happened to me so often. There's nothing I can do here because there's no punishment for them to be in your box. They didn't introduce traps again. They didn't introduce armored walls. They removed the Reaper sniper and they gave us the crossbow, but then they introduced a new heavy impact sniper that had awful bullet drop. It did more damage to the cars, but the problem is that, like, for those of us who want to play the game for, like, fun but also get a victory royale because they like winning, like me, if you wanted to win, there was no way you couldn't carry the crossbow or the heavy impact sniper. You had no option. So when the Flintlock was introduced with the Pirates of the Caribbean collab, out the window, couldn't use it. If you wanted to win the game, you couldn't use it because people were driving around in cars the entire time. I had more gumption to play Wrecked than I have this season, if I'm going to be honest. The crossbow was really fun for me. I had some really wild clips with it. I was really good with the heavy impact sniper too. This was the battle pass. The Machinist was a cute skin. I really liked the Bright Bomber skin and Peabody. Oh, the Magneto collab with the Magneto Fist. Puke. There were 3 new POIs introduced. So now we've went from 5 medallions to 4 medallions to 3 medallions. Okay? We got Brutal Beachhead and Redline Rig. This was the complaint I had about Season 2. I felt like the medallions were on top of each other. Like, when we would land at Grim, I felt like we didn't even have a second to breathe after fighting the boss and fighting other players before Underworld was already coming to get us. Same with landing at Mount Olympus or Brawlers. Like, it was just constant fighting. And I like to play aggressively. If you guys have ever watched me over on Twitch, you gotta have a second to breathe, to heal, to make sure you have your things in order. You know what I mean? And I just felt very, very pushed a lot. And this season made it worse because cars were so much faster. Like, if you landed and you fought for the medallion, you could unlock the cage and get the car, the mythic car. And that meant that you could literally just drive over. And look at how close Brutal Beachhead and Redline Rig are. Like, you just don't have time to breathe. Nitrodome, they're literally all right here. Like, you just don't have time to breathe. And the other problem I have is that, like, these 3 POIs can't build anywhere. I also don't like how there's, like, never enough. I play duos a lot. And I didn't feel like there was enough loot here for 2 people a lot of the time. And it was very frustrating trying to find a basic, like, your basic weapons. Like, if I landed, I could never find a shotgun. Or vice versa. Like, all I found were shotguns. Like, having at least a shotgun and a spray weapon is, like, so vital. I couldn't find that half the time. Very rarely. I can count on one hand how many times I landed on any of these 3 POIs and found a shotgun, a spray weapon, heals, and some type of movement. Like, it was never very often. And for that reason, I'm going to rank this in C. Just because the crossbow was a really redeeming factor for me. It was honestly so satisfying to snipe somebody out of the air with the fist. I felt like the Gatekeeper this season went downhill. I feel like it's very inconsistent. The combat was introduced. The combat shotgun was reintroduced. Not very good. The combat AR, absolutely broken. Loved that weapon. I miss it. So there were some redeeming qualities about this season that I just can't say about season 4. And here we are, we're on the current season and the last season before we maybe go into chapter 6. We're going into chapter 2 OG, but, like, you know, we're basically going into chapter 6. It's only a month. It's Absolute Doom. It's the second Marvel season. I hate it. I have no desire to play this season. As somebody whose favorite season was chapter 2 season 4, this season sucks. It is so bad. It has no comparison to chapter 2 season 4. I really wanted to like it after last season, but I have, like, 0 interest to play this season. The Raft, Doomstat, Castle Doom. We have 3 medallions. Castle Doom gives you Siphon. Doomstat is the worst medallion that's ever existed. I don't know why you pick it up. Basically what it does is that when you crouch, you go invisible, but the problem is if you go invisible, you can't shoot your gun or reload your weapon or use heals or do anything. So it's basically worthless and not worth picking up. And then the Raft gives you the ability to mark players, which pisses me off because there are hireables that do the exact same thing. So basically all you're doing is fighting for the burst, which sucks. That gun is so inaccurate. It's, like, remarkable how bad it is. I don't remember the AUG being that bad. I don't know if it's, like, the projectile shooting change to it or, like, what it is. And I would rather pick up a striker. I literally saw a Reddit that asked, what would you do to have to pick up an AUG? Like, what color of striker would this have to be, and what mods would it have to be on for you to pick up an AUG? And I was like, wow. They're so right, though. I wish the combat AR was in the game still, because I would carry it. But they removed it a couple weeks ago. I really like the Monarch pistol. I'm kind of nasty with it, I'm not going to lie. I hit a lot of shots with it, a lot of headshots, which I was really surprised by. I don't like that there's not a sniper. As somebody who has high ping, I like to play and get distance. We get lobbied a lot, so we're usually fighting like 5 different teams, so it's really it's a whole lot easier if I can take a couple heads off and then we can fight some people than it is to fight like full duos of 5 teams. So that's kind of a bummer. I think the jetpack is OP with the projectile shooting. I think the projectile shooting really brings this season down a lot. Like, really disappointed in this season. I feel like there's no point in landing anywhere but Castle Doom, Doomstat, or the Raft. I think every other POI is very empty, especially the ones from last season. I felt like they were empty before, and now they're really empty. And Olympus is still a good, decent POI. Reckless is still a good, decent POI now that they've added the dual SMGs, like Wemple's dualies. I just don't know. Grand is an okay POI, because you can kind of push into Castle Doom. Old Underground, like where the ship factory is right here, it's good to land there because you can find enough loot for a duo and push into the Raft if you want to, but I don't know. I'm just, like, very underwhelmed and disappointed. Like, there's no sniper. There's, like, the movement's okay. Like, once again, we have this system where people are abusing items, which, don't get me wrong, like, you should use what you want to use, but once again, we're in a season 2 where building is non-existent. Like, in season 3, you didn't have to build to win. And then season 4, the same thing. Most seasons or most games are people flying around on jetpacks and spraying with whatever spray weapon of their choice. And it's really annoying, and it's a spray and pray meta with flying around, and it's just another unskillful and boring season. Like, I just don't have fun. So the battle pass isn't even really redeeming. The problem is that, like, because I played chapter 2 season 4 OG Marvel, is that, like, I've done the Marvel thing before and it feels lackluster. Like, we don't need another Jonesy skin, and I understand that we need, like, a meme skin, but, like, we have Pilverine. You know what I mean? Like, Pilverine could have been the meme skin. We could have gotten actual Captain America. Emma Frost is really cute. I like her diamond variant. Gwenpool's really cute. I like her in all of her variants. But everybody else is kind of like, eh. Shuri, I don't think I'd ever use her. I think she's cute, but, like, I don't know. And then I already have a Doctor Doom skin because I played Chapter 2 Season 4. So for that reason, I'm going to put this in F because I really don't like this season. And I really want to like this season. My hand and my head are like, why? But, like, my heart's like, this season sucks. Do it, Spark. I just don't like this season. I just don't, and I was very disappointed in it, and I've been playing a lot of Reload. Well, there you have it. This is my Fortnite ranking list. If you don't agree, we all have different opinions. It's okay. We can agree to disagree. Let me know where you would rank and what your favorite seasons are, because clearly mine are Chapter 2 Season 3, Chapter 2 Season 4, Chapter 2 Season 7, Chapter 4 Season 4, and Chapter 5 Season 1. And then, like I said, unranked, these are seasons that I didn't play, that I didn't feel appropriate to rank because I didn't play them, so why would I rank them? And then in the F, we have, what is that, Chapter 3 Season 2, Chapter 3 Season 3, Chapter 3 Season 4, and Chapter 4 Season 4. Or Chapter 5 Season 4. I kind of figured this is how this would go down here. I figured all of Chapter 3 would be in here, but it's okay. You know, you change your mind when you approach something and you're like, okay, well, maybe I think differently now looking back on it, you know? I think it was nice going through the wiki and looking at the map and the battle passes and stuff. I think that helped change my mind on a couple of seasons and not be so, like, Chapter 3's #1 hater. Chapter 5 did a lot better than I thought it would. Some of these seasons I was surprised to look back on, like Chapter 2 Season 8 and Chapter 2 Season 5. I was, like, really shocked. They kind of got lost in the shuffle, and I forgot about them. So this was good looking back, and I hope you guys all enjoyed it. And if you don't know, I do stream on Twitch almost every day, and I post all of my VODs here on YouTube, and I post 2 shorts a day. Usually they're Fortnite clips. So if you don't know, maybe you should hit that sub button and come follow me over on the purple app. But until then, make sure you go check out me on Twitter and join the Discord. And I love you all, and I'll catch you all later.